Welcome back to Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Payday has finally shown signs of life. And let's just hope the Linux version is not paid DLC, and CryEngine is now pay what you want, if you give them your home address.
NVIDIA put some sauce in our face, but not as much as we hoped. And Oddworld gets a bit heady, and maybe just a little grimdark.
AMD finally releases their Linux Vulkan drivers, but only if you're on a Virgin Island running Ubuntu 14.04, and Unigine releases version 2.2. Can we get some new benchmark tools, please?
I'm Vince Stone here at LGC Actual, switching the bits, running the boards, doing this 100% on a Linux sauce, joined every week from up north in Canada.
It's freezing!
Boogie boogie, and all the way from Spain, Portugal, Pedro Mateo.
Hello!
And together with Shadrealm joining us every week live, we form that little bit of a Linuxy cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, we do like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. Gentlemen, I'll start. Everyone, I'm sure Shadrealm does remember that ridiculous little quad-core x86 Windows tablet I bought, right?
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately I did too. And I started up the other day and it was like, get Windows 10, because Windows is, whatever the NSA has put in Windows 10, they really want everyone to get it. And he's like, you know what? Let's try it again and see if it soft bricks again. Lo and behold, it installed 6 hours later, Windows 10, and it is janky as you can imagine it being. It is complete rubbish. What's up, J-Man?
Oh, so I started streaming on our Twitch this week. Played a bit of Sunless Sea. That was an experience. I had Ben in one ear and Shadrealm in the other, and it was fun times. And yeah, I don't know what does the NSA want to monitor you on your little tablet for, anyways? Updating your iTunes feeds?
I don't know.
No, what about
free
this
cloud backup? But for me, this week I got Ubuntu 16.04, the first beta, with the Mate desktop environment running on the netbook here. And the one thing that really surprised me is that sometimes whenever I installed a distro on this thing, either Bluetooth wouldn't work, or if I, say, closed the lid and then opened it back up, it wouldn't wake up from sleep properly. But it does now. So good on Mr. Martin Wimpress and the rest of the Ubuntu Mate team. They did a good job on that.
They follow us, don't they?
Yeah, but at least Martin does.
Oh.
Well, one thing we follow every week is the Steamy Horse.
It is, and it's looking a bit encrypted. We don't know what's inside the horse this week, but it's our Steamers update of the week.
Okay, Payday 2. We're looking over at steamdb.info, and, well, it's a thing. It's saying supported system. It's got a little penguin sauce right in here, a little Steam Play. But, as J-Man alluded to, the depots are hella encrypted. So, it's a Z-byte download. Nothing to really report on that. If you read through that a little bit, they have added support for the Areola controller. So I guess that's definitely a thing. Yes, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, this was announced way back when they said that Torchlight and Hodor and Batman, though that never actually materialized, or Witcher 3, which never actually materialized, were all coming to Linux. So, I mean, it makes sense that they would have at least done some work to incorporate the Steam controller. But, I mean, at least we're ticking off a couple more of those big title announcements. But I'm curious about whether this is going to be an Eon port or not, considering the 0-byte download and the hush-hush and the whatnot.
I don't know. That's definitely one of the things that kind of terrifies me, because I picked up a 4-pack over a year ago. Like when they were like, okay, this is coming out tomorrow. Not really, but, you know, it was part of the whole launch thing. So it'll probably end up being a VP port, which means we will have 3 extra copies to give away in a contest where you have to lose. P-Man?
Or you have to install Windows 10.
Right.
I noticed the Steam controller bits, but then again, you're still playing a first-person shooter with a Steam controller, which admittedly is better than playing it on the regular controllers, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's pretty passable.
Kind of address like Yalen. They did do a thing. They were like, we will never have pay to win type stuff DLC in the game. And they're like, here's some pay to win type stuff DLC. Yeah. And they definitely did that. Screw the pooch. The community's still a thing, but will be interesting. It will be interesting to finally play.
I really hope it isn't Neon Port, because then we can do some multiplayer, and that would be interesting. Like a fun little play. It's kind of hot though.
Yeah, it's flame-breakingly hot. That was terrible. In any case,
that's homophobic, Pedro. How dare you?
Completely, yeah. But I saw this come up on the Steam new releases for Linux page, and I decided, you know what? That looks mildly competent, so I'm going to shoot those guys an email. And they actually did good and sent us some keys for it, so good on them. Thank you very much, guys. And this is a roguelite bullet hell type deal where you pick from a choice of characters. For me, when I started, I only had 3, but I think you can unlock more choices as you progress. And just have at. I played it right to the point where I died because I got all the way up to the boss of the very first area, and then it munched me. That's kind of where I stopped.
That was kind of my first experience with this. I was a little bit disappointed because the intro is maybe about 4.5 minutes long, and it's pretty darn epic. And you're like, ooh, this is going to be something. You know, I'd not previously looked at screenshots. Then you get into the game yourself, and well, it kind of looks like a mobile graphics, man. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, the graphics are kind of bad. I made it to, I think it was the second mini boss. Yeah, but I died once, and then I decided to try it again, this time actually using the shop properly. And I mean, it's one of the few games that worked without any issue with the PlayStation 4 controller. It even had the correct button prompt, which probably means it's using SDL2, so good on them for that.
Nice.
But the one thing that really bothered me about it is the controls are super sluggish, and the fire rate is really, really bad. So I started off with the Minotaur, and then I went to the Spear Chucker. That's not a racist thing. He actually does throw spears. that is his entire gimmick. But and he's also white. I'm gonna stop digging this hole. Either way, controls are sluggish. Need to tighten it up.
2 more and you get a bite-sized
gameplay
Snickers.
a little faster. I'm working towards that bite-sized Snickers. Don't worry about that. But you know, I really wish that there was a game that captured the proper rules of chess, and someone has released it. It is. What is it called again? God damn it!
It's called Sheltered because that's what's next.
Oh, it's called Sheltered. That's the other one, right? Yeah, Sheltered is kind of like your Fallout Shelter, this War of Mine type game, except it's all hipster pixely, and apparently it has some decent gameplay. And oh my god, is that a giant radioactive Pikachu, or am I just hallucinating? Probably a little column A, a little column B. But it's out. It's on Linux. You can pick it up for $13. It's normally it's 15 US. That's a bit steep for the type of game like this. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said in the notes it was like this War of Mine, and I think P1 didn't you say who said it looked like Fallout Shelter? Yeah,
Jordan said that it was the hipster pixel War of Mine. And I said, yeah, it's more along the lines of Fallout Shelter from what I've heard. That doesn't suck.
Which interestingly, that game has anti-incest logic. I found that out. You actually can't read 2 people in Fallout Shelter if they have the same last name. But anyways, go on.
No, it's Bethesda. Fallout Shelter. Bethesda's always been very PC, as it were. Politically correct. Yeah. But yeah, no, this one I've heard, I think it was Total Biscuit say that it was, if you liked Fallout Shelter but wished it went more in depth with the whole survival thing and the exploring the outside world and everything else, the whole risk reward type thing, this is the game you should be looking for. So yeah, keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the main thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this War of Mine did have combat in it. I don't think Fallout did, but this game does have combat elements, correct?
Yeah, yes. It looks like it. So that is definitely a thing. If you like that sort of game, I want to give it a look. But yes,
now we can go into chess.
Now I can go repeat my chess shtick, but I won't. This is Chester, and much to the dismay of furries everywhere, There we go. There's my bite-sized Snickers. This has nothing to do with the cheetah. This is basically it's a match 3 game that all the pieces move like they're corresponding chess pieces, and so there's that little added element of strategy. But what fascinated me about this is that you actually they fixed it. Or was that some other game? Oh yeah, no, that's what I want to know. I wanted to know where Mega Chessotron was. It's not there.
You do need the elusive SSC2 instruction set support processor, so
yeah, it just has the SSC2 hardware in there, and that's it. Nothing else.
And you need a DirectX 9 capable graphics card in their Linux.
Well,
it's using Gallium 9.
This, I mean, it reminded me of like columns with chess move.
Yeah, and that is literally what it is. It's priced to sell at like $4 though, so make of that what you will. If you like match 3 games, it's one on Linux. But
it looks very much like your Bejeweled and everything else, which is why I'm guessing Ven pointed out in the notes that in 2016, when no in-app purchases is a fuck-mothering feature, yeah, the chances are this is a free game that you can probably get on Android, and they only added this particular thing as in having no in-app purchases as a feature because they probably have in-app purchases on Android or iOS or wherever else they're selling it.
All right, well, let's talk about what's in your box, because
I hear Boxy Brown talking. What's he gonna say?
What did you call it? Super Meat Box?
Super Meat Box. That's exactly what it looks like.
What is it? Hyperbox. You try to beat a bunch of platform levels in less than 30 seconds, each using the box rotation to your advantage. Giggity. And it's very challenging yet rewarding experience. $2.99. Right. Wow.
It came out this week. Woo!
That's about all I got. Oh, the fuck. Okay.
Here's one I want to know. This game is 600 megabytes in size. How?
I don't know. The first thing that struck me is like just watching that video. It has a total fail counter and a LOL OMG like thing. And I was like,
oh my god.
This is just like reeks of like somebody in their late 40s, like trying to be hip with what the kids are up to today. So I was like, dude, it's not 2008, Brad.
So can I plagiarize Jim Sterling and say and ask, is this memes?
$2.99. This could be memes. If Steam runs, game runs. Okay.
Fair enough.
I don't know what it's doing with half a gig of storage it's consuming, but sure. Maybe it's a self-contained operating system that runs the game. Who knows?
Who knows, man? But
it's time to, I don't know, some pun involving planes. This is Warbirds, WW2 Airstrike 1942, Midway, whatever the hell it is. This thing has like a very elaborate title and not so elaborate graphics. It's
welcome
like,
back to 1996.
Well, you see, Jordan, they have to put enough words in front of 1942 in order not to get sued out of existence.
You know that is a very valid point, Ben. I did not consider it, but I don't have a sharp legal mind as you, so.
Yeah, definitely looking at that. It is just download the free version on your mobile or your tablet and play it because it's in the Play Store for absolutely free, and it looks horrible.
It looks like something out of like a DOS game from '97.
True.
Yeah, that's my first impression.
$3.59, and well, I'm sorry. Excuse me. With impressive 3D warplanes and beautiful 2D environments, said somebody with cataracts in both eyes.
I'm reminded of like realistic graphics on the back of a box of a flight simulator.
Now here's the Pepsi challenge: any 64-bit or 32-bit processor, because I have a 233 Sun Ultra Spark 64 processor that I'm pretty sure it might not run on, man.
Well, you need the RAM stick and an old flash drive.
Okay, all right.
You duct
I
tape
have a
them together
1.2 gigahertz single core processor right here. You think it'll run it?
Probably not. Those graphics are a little too intense.
That's the thing. It's priced like a mobile game because click export and there's no in-app purchases in this. So normally £4. Mostly positive with 8 reviews, and I'm willing to guess if we read all of them, they're from friends or, yeah. Save your cash for beer. This game sucks. Controls are terrible and instructions non-existent. Little more than a phone. Oh, ding, 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 ding. All right, chicken dinner.
All right, that about does it for the Steam news.
Tiny Rick
coming up.
Not yet. We still have to talk about Tiny Knight. Yes.
Yeah.
Which, when I first saw this game, I'm looking at the environment designs, and that looks a lot like Torchlight.
A little bit.
But then I started reading, no, it's a single-player adventure platformer set in a fantastic world where you set out on a hunt for a mysterious figure who destroyed your village.
It looks like Ego. The open source game, right?
What's that?
What? Ego Boo. It's an open source roguelike.
Ego Boo?
It looks exactly like this, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 1.8.
Yeah, it's currently 20% off at the time of recording. You can usually get it for like $9 or $10, but
3.8 gigajoules.
Final Fantasy wannabe protagonists and the 3D platforming thing aren't exactly selling it for me.
I mean that's a little worse than the 600 megabyte box game, but
I don't know. I mean, looking at it, I mean, just like with the thwacking like that, it looks very non-satisfactory. But
yes,
you never know. It could be something good. But then again, pig might taste like pumpkin pie.
All right. Well, speaking of pigs, coming up next, AMD throws Vulkan into the volcano and actually produces a form of a driver, and NVIDIA embraces open source. What?
Again?
It's a lie.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's the news. And yep, we're right back at it. This time we start with some drivers. AMD, to be more specific, they finally got off their ass and decided to release a Vulkan driver for Linux, even though they're still not entirely compliant with the Vulkan spec, but that's another conversation entirely. Yep, they have released the new version, which they don't even have a version name to be, they just call it the Vulkan driver. Yeah, it only supports the R9 Fury X, the Fury, the Nano, the M395X, the 380X, the 380, and the 285X, which are the Tonga cards, so it kind of makes sense. Now, you may notice some very glaring omissions, namely the R9 290 and the R9 390, which are basically the same card. The 390 is just a rebrand, but whatever. If you have one of those cards, you're basically in the dirt. Yeah. So also, it's worth mentioning this will only work if you have Ubuntu 14.04.4, because they've literally gone out of their way and added a little note there saying compatible operating systems. Ubuntu 14.04.4, 64-bit.
You gotta like AMD style, because, you know, Ubuntu, like with their 16 series, are like, you know, we're dropping FGLRX and all that, and AMD is like, it only works with them. They say, hey guys, we still love you. I don't know. My first thought is this genuinely came out quicker than I expected from AMD. I was thinking maybe sometime in July, maybe we would get some prototype stuff.
This was like noon on a Friday when they finally released it. But like Pedro mentioned, the worst part is just the astounding lack of support for their hardware. I mean, at least NVIDIA supported the last 3 generations of their cards, and Intel has support for all their, at least partial support for all their GPUs all the way back to Sandy Bridge. This is ridiculous, but you know, it's AMD. What do you expect?
I don't know. Maybe we'll get some things. Monster Cameron was posting in Chat Realm Static, and he says he's going to try to get it up and running on his card. So,
yeah, I'm genuinely curious about the performance, because you know, I know we shouldn't be hopeful for anything AMD software related, but the shit is based on Mantle, so here they have less of an excuse to fuck up. But if they do fuck up, oh, we're gonna have some material for months.
They're playing on their home field and they're still finding ways to cock it up. Dear AMD, at this point I expect nothing and I'm still let down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
Up next. No. Do you have an additional piece? Go.
No. I was just going to say, we hate NVIDIA because they never release anything open source.
I do
shit,
genuinely
in your
hate
face.
NVIDIA.
Wow. Or not AMD. NVIDIA has released the source code for FaceWorks, but if you click on the README there, it actually outright says currently it's only supporting DirectX 11. But the source is out, so some enterprising young hacker is probably going to get this up and running with OpenGL, and they have some OpenGL samples there as well. But shots fired, AMD. They're making with the source. They're making with the GameWorks stuff.
I don't know. I mean, you could definitely think, which would be a very valid thing, is like, well, when NVIDIA is really done with the technology and they don't really care about it anymore, then they open source it, P-Man.
Yeah. It's still, it's for everyone who's out there calling NVIDIA assholes for not, for actually limiting the availability of their tools to the people who are willing to sign an NDA and everything else, because it is their tools. They develop them. They spent the money and the time to develop them, so they can do with them whatever they want. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but still, good on them for actually releasing the sauce. But it's worth pointing out that right now it's just FaceWorks.
But Pedro, you just hate open source, and I'm typing this from Windows 10.
I hate open source. No, I actually do genuinely hate NVIDIA because I am one of those idiots that bought a GTX 970, 3.5 gigs. Really, NVIDIA? Really?
No, you get the extra 12 megabytes of turbo cache. That slows down your GPU entirely.
HDD speed.
We
yeah.
All right, it's definitely nothing to cry about because Crytek unveils an all-new CryEngine 5 and community-centered pay-what-you-want model. Right. They looked at Humble Bundle and said, you know what? We'll have some of that. I mean, here's the thing. It can be compiled under Ubuntu 14.04. They got a little guide about there, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the Pepsi challenge on this, just a tinkering around. Then it went and was like, oh, would you like it? Well, we're going to need your home address, Brad. And I'm not huge about privacy and all that. And I was like, I'll give you an address somewhere. There you go. Have that. Then the server error, timed out. I just like, you know what? Don't care enough. Forget about it.
There's a follow-up to that.
Like 2 days later.
Mm-hmm.
2 days later, all the times that, like 3 or 4 times, I got like 11 emails from Crytek. And it was like, you've been confirmed. And all that. But seriously, Jordan, what do you think? This pay what you want model kind of reeks of desperation, son.
I know, right? It's almost as if the premier cross-platform content creation tool is just free and available. You can just download the source.
Yeah, I actually believe an interview with the Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine 4 was quoted as saying, "That's adorable."
I know. I mean, if they were really serious, they'd follow Epic's model because, again, Epic has done it right by fostering a community around their technology and then supporting it. But part of this, up to 70% of what you pay for Crytek, if you pay anything, really, because you don't have to, can go to this indie development fund, which will be theoretically spent on enabling people to produce more content using the CryEngine. I mean, it seems kind of interesting, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to go anywhere because no one's going to actually pay for this, given the option at all.
Yeah,
and
we've kind of seen. We've kind of seen the shovelware. We've kind of seen like the shovelware has already hit the Steam store because there are more than one YouTube channels that play Windows games that have played several shovelware CryEngine titles.
But yeah, seriously, no OpenGL, no Vulkan support, man. For your new version in 2016, I'm seriously disappointed, you guys.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, if
VR
you want to experience the CryEngine on Linux, there's a free game to download. It's called Snow, or as I like to call it, learning how to troubleshoot your Linux install, because if it doesn't hardlock, you definitely are going to be SSHing into your box and trying to kill it because it just locks out everything. It's a brilliant piece of kit. But let's hold things back.
Oh, yeah. You can make some better benchmarking software. Ooh.
Yep, it's that benchmarking engine which we like to use over in Chatroom Static to whenever we get some new hardware to test things with. We usually run either Heaven or Valley. Yeah, these are the same guys. They've released version 2.2 of their engine, and they have a bunch of new improvements. You can find all of the improvements in the show notes. There'll be a link to that. But how about you see that oil rig demo that Ven's playing there? I want them to compile that and make a benchmarking tool out of that. I'm getting a bit tired of looking at the Heaven and Valley benchmarks at this point. I know them by heart.
But the trees are so pretty, Pedro. They're just trees, man.
And that damn dragon statue in the middle of Heaven? No, enough of that.
I don't know. I was digging around. If you look up on like the wiki page for Unigine, I think there's a total of 5 actually released games in the entire history of this benchmarking engine that no one wants to
we covered one, Cradle, right?
Cradle,
yeah, which had non-rebindable controls. So hey, suck it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're using the wrong hand, Pedro.
I mean, at least
you.
CryEngine's like pay what you want. Unengine, they're definitely like, give us money for something that no one's ever used, please, guys.
Oil Rush is a game, you guys. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, they make some decent benchmarking tools, but that's it.
It's a bit certifiable if you catch mine.
All right.
That was
because
a stretch.
You can get Unity certified. Unlock the ultimate perk for your career in game development. Right. Stand out from the crowd.
Shovelware. Shovelware.
This is actually a thing. Certified professional programmer, certified professional artist, or certified expert from the beautiful people that brought you Unity. And it's only 250 quid and here's the brilliant thing. It's a 100-question exam for the, the professional programming course. And if you don't finish it, you're only going to be graded on the amount of the questions that you completed. That should tell you something. A, ding, ding, ding,
Desperation.
ding, ding. Right, red light should go off there. B, I'm tempted to fly out to Cali, at least find one question that I know the answer to, fill it out, hand that fucker in, and be like, all right, gimme. I mean,
I checked their testing schedules to see if there was one nearby because I was debating doing that as well. And there's one in Ottawa. We should totally send Sandy.
Here's Johnny.
Yes.
But I mean, like this isn't going to be a lifetime certification. There's nothing on the webpage that actually mentions the duration of the certifications. But this seems like it falls into your standard cert racket. So this is going to be $250 once every 2 years. And
considering how much change from Unity 4 to Unity 5, it's definitely not going to be a lifetime.
Exactly. But I am looking forward to people who have passed this test by doing what Ben suggested and answering the one question and handing it in saying, I'm Unity certified, I know how to make games, and still release garbage.
I know. Just a pro tip. Do you know what's better time? Spend that $250 on yourself, some booze, and all that, and develop a portfolio. Because that is how you get jobs.
You can get a Linux systems administrator for like $200.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or
that's a pretty good certification to have.
Get some nice kicks. But okay, whatever. No snappy transition. It's Oddworld. They have a new one called Oddworld Soulstorm, and it is the follow up to the Oddworld New and Tasty that got released last year. Was it? I believe it was.
Yep.
And this is going to be the sequel. I never actually played the Oddworld game, but it's the next one in the series, which it's not Munch's Odyssey. It might be. I don't really recall. But this takes place immediately after the story. It covers some dark themes about now that you've freed these slaves from wherever the hell they were. Now you have to deal with the fallout. It's deeper, it's darker, it's more sinister. And I mean, Oddworld was pretty dark. I mean, it's a game about industrialized slavery. So really, the only way you can get this to go darker is just adding grimdark people. And unless you're Warhammer 40,000, you just don't do that. You never go full grimdark.
Well, I think the one thing that's worth pointing out for this story is that there is no confirmation of a Linux release yet. we're working off of the assumption that they may, on accounts that they actually released the previous.
It's kind of hard not to, considering they had a day one release with
they used the Unity.
Yes,
It was a Unity.
Yeah.
But bit of apprehension with that because they've still not genuinely fixed the controls with that game.
It is a Unity game.
It's rebind. Well, you've seen Unity done right. Milkstone Studios, you guys rock.
Yes.
But I mean, it's technically rebindable, but it's like J3, and you don't know what it's supposed to do. We've had this conversation ad nauseum, but that's going to be a thing. 2017. Okay, but let's talk about a far superior game.
Oh man, you know, I don't like shitting on new game developers, like trying to stretch their legs and whatnot. But like, if you scroll up a little, I want to show you this lovely cover art, probably done by the developer. Again, it's like yelling at a 4-year-old for drawing very poorly with crayons. But this is Hackers versus Banksters, a Toronto developed game that's basically a pick your own adventure type thing, where if you play as the one character, you have to deal with her anorexia and like make sure that she eats but not too much or she'll explode. And if you play as the other guy, you got PTSD, so you gotta keep him away from all them triggers. And that's about it. I mean, okay, it's a modest goal, $800. Oh yeah, no, it's like I said, I don't like shitting on people who are like just trying to put a game out, but read the description and it just, I lost my shit at Common Law Wife. So I mean, you can download the demo. It's on itch. It's free. If you like pick your own adventure games, you're probably not going to like this. Sorry, Crow Girl.
It's not exactly free. You have to name your own price. You can be the asshole, because it always makes me feel like an asshole if I have to type a 0 in there and just give me the download links. Come on.
Well, my biggest thing is, I mean, if you got name your own price running in conjunction with your Kickstarter, you can die in a fire. Seriously. Sorry. I mean, release a demo, get that out there, get funded at a reasonable price Kickstarter, and do your thing. But I mean, if you want money coming in from both ends, good luck with that. Anyway.
You're also in downtown Toronto. There's OCAD. Find an artist. Just find one. But
yes, we actually covered this in the Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays of this week. Yes. And it's
related to gaming. So
I see the Plesk default fav icon there, but yeah, that's just me. In any case, this is the Pandora Live. It's they've basically created a self-contained working prototype, which you can actually pre-order for like $900 at this point.
Yeah, the state of the software is pretty lackluster too, because there's no hardware acceleration. They don't have any heat sinks. The battery life is probably going to be all of like 30 seconds. But I mean, as far as handheld computers go, it looks pretty nice. Like the screen is of decent quality and whatnot. But again, you have your Android phones, you have your Android tablets. As these guys mentioned in Weekly Daily Wednesday, you can buy a $200 Raspberry Pi kit and build your own. So yep.
That was kind of my point on our Wednesday show, was when the original, what was it called, the Pyra?
Yeah, the Pyra.
Pandora.
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 Yeah, right.
Open Pandora. That's
Open Pandora. When it was released in 2008, we didn't have anything resembling a Raspberry. Now we have the Raspberry B, which in everything but memory is faster than this. So, yeah, times have changed, and I mean, it's a hard ask. If you want to buy it, you want to support the project, 100% cool. But there's no, like, need for it. You know, you're just like, what can this do that I couldn't do with a $200 kit and a 3D printer? Not much, Brad. Pedro?
Well,
yeah, no, I mean, I was one of the last holdouts for the PSP, mostly because I had custom firmware and I was just running emulators to play Pokemon on it. But yeah, no, as it is very much a prototype. And like Jordan already mentioned, there is no hardware acceleration. You get a very basic but functional Linux handheld, as it were. And like Venor mentioned on the Wednesday show, you cannot get this through an airport. They will confiscate it right then and there.
No. All you have to do is strap some hot dogs to it, and they'll let you go. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But Speaking of hot dogs, we gotta commend the sausages on our lovely Patreons and our supporters, because you can go on over to linuxgamecast.com/support-the-chosen/
You just click the link.
or you can click the link. No, you have to type in the full URL.
Okay.
It's the only way to do it. Hello to the chairs.
What do you get if you go there?
You get some lovely Amazon affiliate links, so you can support us just by buying stuff you normally buy on Amazon. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps. We also got some PayPal Donato buttons. We're PayPal verified. You can make a one-time donation of any amount, $3.50 a month, $10 a month, or if you want a better service to give us a recurring payment, you can hop on over to patreon.com/LinuxGameCast. Oh my God, it's hideous. They've redone their layout. And yeah, that's certainly a thing. The cover art completely obscures the text. Good job, guys. But good job to Ben, who kicked us some shekels and further enables us to run this train wreck week after week after week. Daily, weekly, Wednesdays is being posted on there, so check that out. It's a good time.
We got
coming up.
One thing coming up, yeah.
Oh yeah, no. The next goal, if we can get to $200 per episode, I will play Serious Sam 3 with these assholes and just be miserable the entire time. Just a constant stream of me swearing and just being sour and salty. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna hate it, but it's gonna be entertaining television. Let me tell you.
It's gonna be great.
It's fantastic. But coming up next, we go 2,000 Leagues Under the Z to, I don't know, some other Z things. We're throwing chairs at Sunless Z or Sunless Z or whatever the hell you want to call it. Well, it's always better down where it's wetter, under the Z. This is Sunless Sea. We're throwing chairs at it. It's from Fail Better Games, built on the Unity engine. You can pick it up for in and around $20. And what is it? Lose your mind, eat your crew, die. Take the helm of your steam shit and set sail for the unknown. That's show title, steam shit. Sunless Sea is a game of discovery, loneliness, and frequent deaths in the award-winning Victorian Gothic universe of Fallen London. And much like the chairs, they fall as well. Speaking of chairs, it's CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's garbage, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that's pretty good, 4 chairs means that it's awesome. We also got our categories of Doom, make with the working shiny sounds, controls, and fun. And if I can stop tripping over my own tongue, I can tell Ven to ask him.
You're off your game there, Jordan.
Did it work?
Did it work, Brad? Well, you know, it actually did work on the Ubuntu 1404 LTS with a 980 displayed 4K goodness running an 8150. With about 8 gigajoules of the RAM sauce. Really alright, there was one little itsy bitsy problem, but I couldn't replicate it one time. There was one of the menus I clicked and it opened a pop-up that I couldn't get rid of. And I was like, I had Alt F4. Can't ding it for that. One thing, and I can't reproduce it because it does it randomly, but when you're like derping around in your ship, it will have intermittent stutters. I mean, where it'll go from 60 to like 45 for a split second for I don't know, whatever reason. Can't ding it a chair for that. Runs pretty much out of the box. Unity game, that's saying a lot. So 4 chairs.
Yeah, on the Fedora 22 64-bit i7 6700K with the NVIDIA GTX 980 and the 32 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, this thing just ran. A couple issues with it, not really worth dinging a chair, but still worth mentioning. No ability to disable VSync. No ability to support resolutions greater than 1920 by 1080. But, you know, you click on it, it runs. You don't have to bust out the pulse, latency, MSEC. Sound works, graphics work, 4 chairs.
That's Unity 5 for you. Yeah, on the Amiga with the AMD FX 8370E overclocked at 4.2 gigahertz and the GTX 970 Strix with the 3.5 gigs and 16 gigs of RAM, it ran out of the box. It did do that stupid Unity thing where it tried to full screen into both my monitors and failed miserably at it, but I sent them an email about it, and within a day of said email, they had fixed it, so good on them. If you look at the Steam store page, you don't see the Linux icon for the game. The developers said that the icon means SteamOS and Linux. And since they don't have any kind of controller support for it, they can't exactly tick the SteamOS box. So, yeah, but I'm not going to ding them a chair for that. That's 4 chairs.
All right, that's 4 chairs for Mix with Working. Up next is the Shiny and the Sounds. Ben.
Short and sweet. Well, if you're not really reading text, you're pretty much putting around that little ship. What you're looking at is a top-down 2D view. It's not fugly. It's a bit dark, but it's called Sunless Sea, so take that what you will. Soundtrack is kind of amazing when it decides to play. I mean, it's got like sea shanties in it, and it's like, all right, I'm digging that. But then they'll just go away. Then maybe 5 or 6, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, they'll come back in. You're like, oh, great. And when that's not going on, it is your standard, bog standard, like click, pew, bang, chug, 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 chug. Nothing to write home about. So it's not busted. It's not great. I kind of wish they had fleshed out the soundtrack just a bit more, and I would have given it 3 chairs. But I'm going to have to give it 2 for what it is and what it does. Not terribly impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the graphics get the job done, don't get me wrong. It's just, they're a little lackluster. The drawings are fine. The little illustrated texty bits and all the badges are nicely drawn and whatnot. It's just nothing particularly mind-blowing. It's all been done before. And honestly, I have, like, both you and Pedro brought up points about the soundtrack. I have no recollection of it whatsoever. Like, none. I remember hearing it. I just could not tell you what was going on in there. And that's kind of a mark against it. So I'll give it 2 chairs. The sounds work, the shinies work. And that's about it.
Yeah, the graphics are very simplistic. I've seen naval games done on the Unity engine that only take like 50 megabytes of storage space and manage to have some very competent looking graphics. That game I'm talking about is called Windward. You may want to keep that in the back of your mind for later. It doesn't get 2 chairs because the background noises, Van said they were a little box standard, but if you're playing it with the headset and you're in the zone, they're like trying to give the game as much immersion as you possibly can, because, spoiler warning, there's not a whole lot of that to be had. The background noises are very well done. They're very subtle, but they're very, very competent in the way that they will just smack you across the head with some atmosphere. There you go. You're alone, out at sea. There's no music. There's just a random sound effect to keep you on your toes. And that, to me, it tickles me the right way, as it were. So I can give it 3 chairs.
All right, that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Up next is Control, then Out of Control.
Not a whole lot to complain about or really control in this game. Because, like I said, when you're not clicking on text menus, because this is an adventure novel, the other part is driving your ship organ around in circles, trying to pew-pew the other guy. That's really basically it. The keyboard mappings are kind of logically laid out, except on the split keyboard. Your map and some other things are on the opposite side, and considering, you're going to be using your gerbil to click around. Borderline all over the damn place, but not enough to ding it a chair, so yeah, controls work, man. 4 chairs.
Oh, I'll totally ding it a chair for having a crazy layout. I mean, for the most part, everything is sanely mapped, and the button you would press on the keyboard has the same first letter as the as whatever function that you're trying to accomplish, which is nice and all, except when you're trying to toggle lights and inventory and journals and stuff like that. That's on the other end of the keyboard, and I'm trying to not crash into things. So, I mean, just as the game is meant to be played, that's enough to ding in a chair, but that's really my only complaint. 3 chairs.
Yeah, this is a very slow-paced game. Most of your controls are click the thing to make another thing happen, like Finn already mentioned. It's a visual novel, as it were. The boat, I am assuming that the starting boat is purposely slow, but it makes turtles look brisk by comparison. Even crabs can do a charge attack and munch you for 2 whole health. It's a little bit... No, why would you build a boat that slow? But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, and the controls, they work for what they are, but proper controller support wouldn't go amiss. I would have probably enjoyed the game more if I got to be sprawled out on a couch playing it on the Steam box. So it gets 3 chairs.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about controller support. I too would like to lie naked on the couch and drive my boat around. That's 3 chairs for controls. And finally, we got the fun section. And did you have fun?
Oh boy. I remember originally looking at the store page, and Paige was like, "Hey, we got keys for that," and I was like, "Okay." Well, I was like, "Oh man, a lot of people really love this game. This is probably going to be because they're like it's Lovecraftian and all that." I was like, "Okay, I'm going to probably dig this."
It's got a terror meter. Of course, it's Lovecraft.
Yeah, and cannibalism. Yay, cannibalism. But no. Here's the whole thing. This is a glorified visual novel with rudimentary combat, and that combat sucks alligator anus. Seriously, it is miserable. But you don't have to worry about that because the majority of your time you're going to be just reading and clicking next, go, taking challenges and whatnot, losing echoes, which is your currency, and traveling the Z's and buying, more importantly, running out of supplies, eating your crew, raising the terror, scuttling your ship, and starting back over with some contract, which kind of leaves you with nothing, which is really hard and irritating because it's kind of horrible. Every time you have to start back over, I guess it's a roguelike, every time you get noped, you're rewarded by rereading the same startup BS for the first 30 minutes. Guaranteed. I mean, it's absolutely there. And if you're like me and you absolutely give 0 fucks about the story, completely guilty of that, this is nothing more than an unnecessarily hard grind fest of, I don't really care. And I tried to care. I mean, I think the most fun I had with it was when Jordan was streaming on Thursday and we were kind of both like decision making, and he had a great run because that's what this is. You have a good run until you get killed to death. And once that happens, you basically restart with like 1% of what you were starting with. So for fun, and when we talk about this in final, I'll give a better explanation. But yeah, for fun, I don't know who this game was made for. A lot of people really like it. For me, not too much. I didn't hate it, but 2 chairs.
Yeah, so much grinding, just so much. There are actually a lot of elements in the game I really like. The various currencies are cool, where you get like news and information and like reports, and different people you talk to will require different things, and that was kind of a neat mechanic. I enjoyed that. I like the relatively freeform mission and goal structure. You can pick your own goal. You can approach that however much way you want, and I really like the exploration, but all of that was really harmed by the painfully slow pace of the game. Like Pedro mentioned before, it moves very slow, especially at the beginning when you have the first boats and you just with the default engines, and you just chug along super slowly, and it really, really harms the engagement. Really, it's there to make you eye your terror / hunger / fuel meter and go, shit. Do I have enough? Okay, yeah, I do. The map they provide also really deceptively displays the distances, and you think it's a little longer than it actually is. There's one thing I didn't like is sort of the ivory tower approach of, there are things that will screw you, and if the only way to know to avoid them is to have been subjected to it. Like there's one guy is like, oh, I got a great deal for you, and then he just gives you the shittiest ship you could possibly buy, and so I just drove that into a wall and started again. And I mean, the combat is really lackluster. It's very much a bunch of flailing around, trying to kill your giant enemy crabs. I wanted to like this game. Maybe if they picked up the pace, maybe if they added some controller support, I would have given it 3 chairs, but it sticks at 2.
Saying this game has a combat mechanic is a bit of a stretch, but yeah, basically this isn't the game I was expecting. I can recognize its worth as an atmospheric, story-driven game with a degree of exploration and a lot of risk-reward situations. It's like, yeah, the game actively rewards you for exploring the map and finding new places and everything else, but there's always the risk of, am I going to run out of fuel? Am I going to run out of supplies? Will my crew go batshit nuggets and start eating each other? That's a problem you actually have to worry about. What I wanted to see was Windward with a heavier focus on story. Because as far as gameplay mechanics go, Windward nailed the whole top-down sailing action to a T. Sunless Sea, on the other hand, adheres to the school of game design of tell, don't show. Oh, you have fallen in love with a beautiful lady, the game says in the little journal-y thing. But all you see is a journal. The sisters tell you a haunting tale of the Z. You are now filled with terror. And I'm still looking at that same journal. In Windward,
I totally heard Haunting Tale of Disease, by the way.
Yeah. In Windward, by contrast, all you do is play, and whatever bit of story you get is just a teeny tiny bit of text, or something will happen in the game world. Like you'll get a random pirate ship, or one of the towns you have in game will be attacked by an opposing faction. That's good. What I'm saying is, and to reiterate what I said a few weeks back when it comes to games, I'd rather have solid mechanics and gameplay than a good story. I can get a good story in TV shows, Daredevil, books, movies, really any other medium you can possibly think of. But when it comes to video games, it's the interactivity and the mechanics that fuel said interactivity that are really important, in my opinion. I recognize that's not the case with most people, apparently, because this game is getting pretty damn good reviews on Steam. But since this is the subjective category, as it were, I didn't really have any fun. One chair.
So really the one thing to take away from this is that Pedro actually liked the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Send your hate mail to Pedro at LinuxGameCast.com. But that's one chair for the fun section and 2 chairs for the final score. So gentlemen, how about some final thoughts?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like P-Man was just saying, a lot of people genuinely like this game. And I think for a certain set of people, it's a great game, and those people are people who I think more into visual novels. I loathe that genre of gaming. Nothing personal, nothing against it either, at all. But, good on that. But if you know me, you know what type of game I like, and this doesn't has it at all, period. And I'm not saying it's poorly done, but there's just genuinely nothing of interest for me. I mean, it is a visual novel. And according to people who like this, it's extremely well done, extremely atmospheric. But the one thing I might enjoy would have been the combat, but it's just clunky overall. P-Man?
Yeah, I would like to see a game that compromises the in-depth story of Sunless Sea, which it has, and the mechanics/gameplay of Windward. Sunless Sea is a well-put-together game that conveys exactly what the developers wanted it to. I just don't like what that is.
Yeah, I mean, the game does a lot of things right, but one of the core problems is that the gameplay really hampers the full experience just because you move so goddamn slow. But, I mean, I'd maybe spend a little more time with this if... I mean, I might, because I like roguelikes and I like exploration. So, definitely a thing. The visual novel stuff didn't really bother me all that much. But I like reading, because I'm a weirdo like that. Coming up next, we talk about shoving dudes in a toaster, and then Ben Stone talks about his home brewing setup.
And it's about time we wrap up this whole thing and start hating on some males. Yes, I've made that joke before, but suck it. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you know what to do. Just go on over to LinuxGameCast.com, hit the contact button, fill out the form. If you're trying to promote your game, send us some keys or some playable builds. Otherwise, we will just make fun of you. Right. So we actually have a pretty good, decent hate mail segment this week, and the first one comes from Tyler. And
yes, he's talking about dudes. He says, wait, 4 dudes, Sven, Jordan, Pedro, Frenchie, Empty, are portages women that ugly, or is Pedro just the exception?
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna portage women, you got to remember that you gotta hold them right near the ends so that the weight is evenly distributed by both carriers, right? No,
that's a stretch there, Jordan.
He says portage.
It's
Talking about
still,
news,
it's still a
right?
better love story than virtual programming. But let's see. FX Boy Forever. He writes about toasters, but he says, I must concur with Vin. Most currently available VR headsets do, in fact, make users look like they're being face-fucked by a toaster. I agree.
On that note, I still maintain if Valve released a Vive that looks like a head crab or like a face hugger, that shit would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, it would, and maybe even a companion cube one, because hotcakes when it comes to the Portal stuff.
Do you get face fucked by a companion cube at any point in Portal? Because I think you and I are playing two very different games. Pedro.
One can only dream. But you do remember last week we were talking about good old games finally getting HTTPS everywhere, right?
And two-factor authentication. And Matthew L. in the
very
YouTube
very
comments.
succinct with his reply.
God can go themselves. That's all. All right.
I'm sorry, it's pronounced Gog can Gog fuck themselves. Whatever that means.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of fair to throw some shade Gog's way, because you remember way with that, like, oh, we're going to release a mysterious new thing for GOG when they were just Windows only, and it was like, it's for Mac, and it's like, no one cares. GOG.
They're also shipping wine bottles of games, claiming that they're ports that really only work on Ubuntu, and if you try to install them anywhere else, it fucks up.
Yep, pretty much. We actually have some experience with that. You may want to go back and watch the
it was that stupid card game. It was like miserably
Flat Out 2.
Flat Out 2. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it was not a pleasant experience. It's the one thing I said back when they started introducing the wine ports into the GOG store. It's like, if you don't put it in big bold letters what kind of port that game is, I'm not going to buy it. And I have yet to give GOG money
one other thing about GOG, or really their parent company, CD Projekt Red. Where Witcher 3 for Linux? That shit's been
virtual
sitting
programming's working on it.
No, man, they're just waiting for DX11 full support and wine. Then they'll have it.
Yeah, they'll do it themselves. Yeah.
I like I said, I'm still waiting on Microsoft to open source DirectX 12. It's happening in the future.
Well, let's have a sip, because Kim Olsen, no relation, Vince Stone, and he's talking about 1740 London Stone's Ginger Joe, alcoholic ginger beer. And really, the only thing I have to say that isn't ginger alcoholic a bit redundant?
That's racist, Ben.
Only a ginger can call another ginger, and that's
just
my
like only a ninja
for the
can sneak
day.
up on another ninja.
Or maybe there's Irish. I don't know. Oh, no
And
one
on
wants
that
to touch that one. Let's cue the music. You can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Standard Moon Time. I'm Vin Stone, cleverly disguised at Vin Stone on the Twitter nuts. Yeah, that one. Hit me up. I'll always try to get back, much like I do at Plus Vin Stone on the G pluses.
I'm Jordan Swung. You can see me with my foot perpetually in my mouth at the Burning Pool on Twitter, plus Jordan Swung on the Google Plus.
I've already eaten and swallowed both of my feet, but you can always find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter or Plus Pedro Mateos on Google Plus.
He's also working on his right hand, so
Didn't they
an eye on that.
have like ginger
Getting
beer
there.
or something like that in the Harry Potters?
butterbeer, I think it was.
Okay.
But they did attempt to like brew the ginger kid at some point, I think. Or am I
with butter?
misremembering that?
I don't know. I read all the Harry Potter books and I don't remember any of them getting.
Yeah, no. That guy gets like liquefied and mashed into a paste, and then they boil him and drink him. That happened in Harry Potter, right?
It did now.
All right, new canon by Jordan Swung.
Harry Potter fanfic. Don't ever look that up, ladies and gentlemen.
No. The nightmares.
LGC cares. Good night.
Do it! 5 dudes.